Last farewell, an embrace. 2 years ago, on an impulse one lonely night like this, I drove to her house to have a midnight stroll with her, foolishly thinking she'll be delighted by my foolish spontaneity. I was foolishly happy with my imagination. I thought to myself, this is what love is. I was too innocent, too confident. Little did I know I was running fool's errand. Once I got there, I knocked on the front door after calling her name from outside, trying to imitate Romeo. She was my Juliet after all, right? After numerous vain efforts of caterwauling, her stepfather opened the door, gawked, then uncomfortably invited me into the house. We waited for both she and her mother as they went out for a walk around the neighborhood block. Somebody beat me to the punch. Damn it. Bravado apparent. I made small talk with the compatriot, subtly letting him know I wasn't intimidated or nervous, but at ease and comfortable. No, really, I was. Believe you me. Shut up. I was. Soon, they finally arrived after about 10 minutes since I had parked outside. She and her mother greeted me meekly, yet I wasn't discouraged, or rather, hid it as best I could. Her mother glared at her, met with full eye contact, and sternly said, "I believe you need some exercise in conversation," implying that there either was grim news to be beheld, or that she was frustrated with her inadequate social interaction and conversational skills with her own mother. I believe she nodded towards both. My bravery, stupidity, and above all curiosity compelled me to witness it for myself. So, side by side with her, we set off into the night. Her energy level was extremely lower than usual. It was different. She moaned and groaned about how bored she was, since she had nothing to do to keep her busy this summer. Well, she was an activist of life. Our dialogue, if you could call it that, consisted of painfully monotonous banter. It was so awkward it hurt physically. My face forced smiles, my mind forced jokes, my eyes forced light within the darkness. I asked benign questions so I could get to know her more than I did, though she sounded like she was really detached when she answered. By design or genuine boredom, I didn't know. I remained calm since I thought it a test, one that I was failing. What was I doing wrong? Everything. I saw something else there that wasn't. Steadily, I made her laugh, here and there, though it was still awkward. As we walked onward, she said in passing that I tried too hard to lift her mood up. Fuck. She was trying to discourage me. Shit, is it that obvious? No worries. Keep trying. Again, I played it off and pretended that what she said didn't affect me. It did, but I was relentless. I didn't let that deter me, and I continued to try and lighten the mood. At least, I did my best to. I comforted myself with an A for effort. I kept moving forward. After I exhausted all the subject matter about herself, it was her turn to ask questions. She asked how my life in the Air Force is, and I told her about high school, basic training, my first experience with life and death working in hospitals, witnessing birth and mourning death. When she inquired more and asked deeper questions about my feelings, about my experiences, I spoke from my heart. I truly did. Though I don't know how quite to explain it, I showed a side of myself that I had never revealed before until that point. I was a well of eternity that I had dammed up. I had damned myself. I had never released myself until this moment. During my teens, I felt so much pain and uncertainty. Let's just say that my words flowed forth poetically from my lips, like a proverbial waterfall. I had never spoken so clear and concise in front of someone before. I was a shy person who didn't know how to crystallize what he wanted his words to mean. When she gave me that time to feel and to think, I was unlocked. I think it was due to the fact that I was opening up for the first time to anyone, and that person was someone I wanted to be desperately heard from. My desire for her was the key to unlocking myself, my true self. She didn't know how much I admired her, and how little I felt about myself. The reason why I liked her was because she was everything I wasn't but wanted to become. But mainly, I was aimless. She had direction, which I lacked. I thought by clinging onto her, I would be able to find a way to be a worthy man of her one day, and that drove me and motivated me. She was my inspiration. Reaching deep into my heart, I painted her mental canvas with colorful words and images. I painted a pretty picture for her, and as she listened intently, I knew I had touched something deep inside her, and later that night, she would bring up how I should write a book one day. We made a total of 4 laps around the neighborhood, I having to lead her through all 3 by cheerfully suggesting, "Let's go another lap," with a smile. I was forcing it. I wanted more time, but before our 4th lap, she said, "This is our last lap," signaling to me that our time is almost up. I didn't see that coming. I felt a lump in my chest, and it started to rise. After the 4th lap, we arrived at her house, and I walked her up to the door. I had to say something about our relationship. I knew it was a wuss move, but I already had a feeling she didn't reciprocate how I felt towards her. Alas, I knew it was almost over. But I wasn't going to let her do this to me. I wasn't going to let it happen to me again. Not again. It was going to be different. To me, that night was all or nothing. As we said our goodbyes and goodnights, she was clinging behind her door like a shield, cringing upon it. She was hiding from me. That lump seemed to grow bigger. Recognizing the end, I threw it out there. Looking at her, I blurted, "I think I'm going to walk away. I think I'm going to walk away." With a puzzled yet knowing face, she sadly replied, "If you feel you have to walk away, I will be sad. But if it's something you feel you need to do, that's okay." She took it well. Damn, I'm not important to her. I paused and told her I wanted to ask her something. I was shaking. I looked from the door to my shoes and slowly back up at her silently. "It burns." Brows furrowed, eyes to eyes, too brown to too blue. I quietly asked, "Do you care?" The lump was about to burst. "Hold back. Hold it back. Not here. Not now." "I care, but not in the way you want me to." That was when my lower lip started quivering. I lost control. I stood, and I hung my head in hopelessness. I did try too hard. I was holding back tears for the past 3 minutes while having this final talk with her. I knew it was going to happen because I wanted it to happen. I planned to have it come up to this point. I was tired of games and beating around the bush. I wanted her answer, not from perceived notions I had created from my head, not from advice from people who didn't know what exactly went on between us. I wanted it from her, and I finally got it. She saw me. For the first time, I felt revealed, and she saw the real me. I was a sensitive boy of 19 years, pining for the affection of a girl 2 years younger than he, yet who seemed wiser beyond her years, stronger than beyond her years. As I looked up at her with silent red eyes, I turned to leave. Suddenly, she came from behind that door. She reached out and wrapped her arms around me. It wasn't just any kind of hug. I'd never been hugged like this before, by anyone. She squeezed me tight and buried her face into my shoulder. We rested our heads against each other like lovers who weren't. We held each other tight, as tight as we could, that we may never let each other go, but must, squeezing with slight pressure to occasionally let each other know we meant every ounce of it. It was the best hug of my life. I was embraced. We stayed like this for a long, long time. She finally opened up to become the girl I had known. She cast away the facade of the tired character she was 10 minutes before. The wall I had tried to climb was torn down. The wall I had tried to climb was torn down. We laughed with wit. We played. We flirted. We stared into each other's eyes. We bantered intellectually, quoted people of the past. We shared with each other how we felt about a little bit of everything. But the underlying truth was, she didn't feel the same. I finally knew my place in her world. Not in it. She asked if I could wait for her after a few years, but I told her straight. No, I can't guarantee it. No, I won't guarantee it. I respected myself enough to say that much. I will not be put on the back burner to someone else's dream. As she said this, as I said this, I remembered a quote that I heard some time ago. There's two things you gotta know in life. Where you're going, and who you're going with. Although I understood that she wanted to do a lot of things with her life. As for me, I'm patient, but that's just silly to think I'll wait for her anymore. After leaving for basic training, I had already done so for 1 whole year. I even denied other women for her, as I had faith. I know what I'm willing to do, and what I'm capable of. Why should I wait for someone who doesn't feel the same way about me? Not going to happen. I wait for no woman after this. I wait for no woman after this. I told her that every Juliet needs a Romeo. Although she wasn't my Juliet, she said she'd like to be there when I do find her. I smiled painfully at this, but said nothing. That was the killing blow. Before I left that night, after all was said and done, she called out to me as I headed to leave. Let me know if you still want to be friends. I shouted back in response, we'll see. I genuinely wasn't sure if it was a good idea. I wasn't ready so soon. I had to reflect if I could handle the consequences of remaining platonic friends with a girl I had feelings for. I asked myself, what if she gets a boyfriend? Would I be jealous? It took some time to come to terms with the reality of this possibility, and to accept that, yes, I would be. It's been a couple years since that night, that episode of Raw Emotion. Though, despite what she said, we aren't friends. We haven't spoken since I invited her for dinner to take up that offer, to see if she really, truly meant what she said. Apparently not, as she declined. At the end of that night, words were wind. For my peace of mind, all I know is that I tried, and she didn't. At first, I was concerned why she declined, but now, I understand. But it's no longer a problem anymore, because I don't let it be. All that matters is, there was no result. I don't intend to contact her. I've moved on, but I silently thank her for the memories and the knowledge I've gained in the wake of it all. For every Romeo must have a Rosalind. She is my Rosalind. But what I'm grateful for, most of all, was that she showed me what a real hug is like. An embrace. Although I do not have anyone to have or to hold at the moment, I'll no longer cling onto anyone else's dream but my own. Don't follow a path. Make your own. What I want most, I'll find myself.